Greetings, super nerds! Did you know that Phase 2 of the MCU concluded with Ant-Man? Phase 3 begins next May with Captain America Civil War. So how about we do the rundown? Hit it, Chauncey! Phase 3. It's gonna be great! Like I said, Phase 3 kicks off May 6, 2016 with Captain America Civil War. Ominous name, right? Well, it should be! Civil War, as the title suggests, marks a rift amongst the heroes of the MCU. It really shakes things up! After a few near cataclysmic events involving the Avengers, some of the heroes feel that all superheroes need to be registered and government sanctioned, while others fear that they'll be exploited under those conditions. Thus, dissent and allies becoming rivals. Rivals. Oh yeah, the new Spider-Man is going to be introduced in this film as well. Yay! Then, in November 4th, 2016, Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch, Benefits Cumberfatch, Benetrick Cumberditch, Bonnaroo Cumbertink, Ben and Jerry's Thumbpatch, Benedict Cumberbatch plays the Sorcerer Supreme. Little did we know, Marvel has been easing us into more fantastical characters. Starting with those grounded in science, or science, then we moved into the cosmos, and Doctor Strange moved us into the mystical and magical. On May 5th, 2017, we head back to the cosmos with everyone's favorite misfits, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2! James Gunn finished the first draft of the script for this movie in June, and it said that it's a story about father. I, for one, am curious to see what's up with Groot. I hear he is Groot? Then on July 28th, 2017, the shiznit really hits the fizzan with Thor Ragnarok. Ragnarok refers to the end of all days, in keeping with our theme of ominousness, and Thor will likely face off against one of his greatest foes, Surtur, a large, fiery, satanic-like demon monster guy. Like this. Thor is one of my favorite characters, so I'm very excited and nervous for this installment. More on that in a couple years. Later that year, we'll get a third Marvel feature out of the MCU. We'll start getting 3 a year from this point. Yay! November 3rd, 2017 is the Prince of Wakanda. That's right, Black Panther! I'm very excited for this one for a plethora of reasons. Should I say plethora? Plethora. That's right, plethora. But Black Panther is particularly momentous because it'll be the first time in the modern superhero era that a black superhero gets his very own film. I say the first time in the modern era because there was technically a Spawn movie back in 1997 starring Michael J. White. But now that superhero movies are such a huge part of pop culture, Black Panther, played by Chadwick Boseman, has a bit more weight. Anyways, T'Challa is the prince of the secret, super advanced African nation Wakanda. This society actually makes the Quinjets the Avengers are always flying around in, as well as supply the vibranium that Cap's shield is made of, and the material largely responsible for the creation of the android Vision, introduced in Age of Ultron. T'Challa is also the Bamfy superhero known as Black Panther. To 2018! May 4th, 2018, 2 days before my birthday, Avengers Infinity War Part 1. Ah! Infinity War refers to the Infinity Stones that the Mad Titan Thanos is collecting. The big baddie behind the scenes pulling all the strings who we got our first glimpse of in the mid-credits scene of the first Avengers, before we had a couple full scenes in Guardians, and finally we saw him in the mid-credits scene of Age of Ultron donning the Infinity Gauntlet saying, "Fine, I'll do it myself." We'll get back to the outlook for Infinity War when we get to Part 2. For now, let's move to July 6, 2018, when we're introduced to Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, will be the MCU's first female superhero to get her own movie. I qualify with Marvel because DC's Wonder Woman gets her own movie a year earlier, which we'll discuss in our highlight of the DC film lineup. Carol Danvers, originally Miss Marvel, now Captain Marvel, attained her powers in an explosion of a Kree device. Kree are the blue aliens that you've seen in both Guardians of the Galaxy and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ronan the Accuser was Kree. And crazy! Ha! Carol was in proximity to the original Captain Marvel, a Kree soldier named Mar-Vell, and in the explosion she was imbued with his powers. This movie segues into The Inhumans, which comes out on November 2nd, 2018, because they too are inextricably linked with the Kree. The Inhumans are a secret race of advanced and powerful beings living on Earth, or on the Moon in the current comic book continuity, and they're the results of experimentation by the Kree on primitive humans. And finally, on May 3rd, 2019, we have Avengers Infinity War Part 2. Now, it's important to note that the Avengers roster might look very different by this film, and maybe even the first part of Infinity War. We already saw huge changes at the end of Age of Ultron, the new Avengers team consisting of Scarlet Witch, Falcon, War Machine, and Vision, while maintaining Captain America, Black Widow, and presumably Hawkeye. Here's the thing about Infinity War. The roster of Part 2 will likely be different from the roster of Part 1, which will likely be different from its current makeup. It's hard to say exactly who will comprise the Avengers, but you can bet that we'll see most of the heroes in those movies. Phase 3 characters we've laid out here will probably become the new Avengers after Infinity War. Regardless, it's safe to say that the roster is becoming very fluid and dynamic. Well, that's all for Phase 3 of the MCU! Check out our highlight of DC's movie lineup coming soon. And remember, as always, to subscribe to the channel. Which movie in Phase 3 are you most excited for? Tell me in the comments. I want to talk to y'all. Let's hear it. Until next time, Superloaders!